Well, hello there. Welcome back to Nails by Sora. I hope everyone is doing well. This is going to be another kind of watch me work kind of tutorial, but not really, on character studies, cartooning, painting on nails. I've been wanting to do Q*bert nails since I did the Pac-Man nails back in, it was probably September or October last year. I will link it above in the cards. But I kind of want to start doing or continue doing video game inspired nail designs, and Q*bert was always my favorite from the Nintendo game system. Played it all the time. I can still remember, hear the sound of him landing on the blocks in my head. But I tried a few different techniques with laying out the bricks. And I started out with just plotting dot points across the nail, as you see here, but they needed to be closer together. The blocks ended up being a little bit too large, and I really wanted to get more of the pyramid on the nail versus a few larger blocks. So I ended up erasing it, which you'll see. I wanted to keep this in so that you see that obviously not everything always works out 100% the way you want the first time you do it. No matter who you are, how long you've been doing it, you always have to start and maybe rework or rethink the way you want to attack a problem or a design, and then sometimes just redo it. So I took a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and I wiped it away and ended up starting over again. And I think I ended up just freehanding it. I drew in, I don't remember. See, that's the problem with recording this video and then doing the exposition days or even a week later. You forget what you've done. But yes, I did go in and do more dots, just smaller and closer together, so I could fit more blocks on the nail. And then it's just a matter of figuring out which dots to connect, which I did have an inordinate amount of difficulty with it. This nail, just laying out the blocks, took me the bulk of the time. It took me an hour and a half, which it should have never taken me that long, but I just couldn't figure out the direction that lines should go in, where there were missing lines, which lines would connect. It wasn't until I really started laying in the swatches of color that I figured out the pattern. And then in doing so, I was able to slightly correct the angle of the lines and make them line up a little bit better. So now I'm just going in and I'm laying in all the red, then I'll lay in all the yellow and the blue, and the pyramid of blocks will be thankfully completed. So now I'm going in and I'm just blacking out the background. I did start out with using a semi-transparent black, but because I always worry whenever I use black that it's not going to cure properly in the lamp, and more often than not I do have trouble with it curing all the way. So I did start out with a semi-transparent and then ended up just going in with a full coverage black, Perfect Black by Madame Glam. And I just did thin layers and did 3 layers and cured them for 90 seconds each. So then once that is done, or was done, I went in and I re-emphasized the black lines, denoting the different sides of each block. And I put in a little cubert, which is coming up very shortly. I will say that in doing this cubert, this is the smallest I have ever painted anything, as far as I can remember. Obviously, putting in the orange circle and the feet weren't that much of a big deal, but getting in his little snout and his eyes was just like I had it right up against my face. Either that or I had my face right up against the nail. One way or the other. I have never painted that small. But I love the way the nail turned out. You can definitely tell it's cubert. And the next nail is a larger representation of the main character. I did consider doing a third nail. I started it. I wanted to put in the snake, but I just couldn't get the angles of the snake's body right. It looked more like a ribbon than a snake, and I decided to just keep it with the 2 nails that I did. And yeah, so the next nail is coming up shortly. So for nail 2, I didn't bother with putting in dots. I just drew the blocks freehand. They were large enough, and I only did 3 of them, that I didn't really feel like I needed to put in plot points. And they came out perfectly fine. I think it was even easier this time around to do it. Once I had the pattern in my head, I could figure out the direction of the lines and get them going pretty much in terms of horizon line, getting the points going in the right directions and at the right angles so that they look like they're sitting one on top of the other. And then I just went in and ordinarily speaking, whenever you do a nail, you want to start with the background first and work your way up. But I didn't want to have to paint over black. So as with the first nail, I did the main design first, and then I went and cut around Cubert and the blocks to lay in the black background. So I am using Madame Glam's gel paints. They're really the only product that I use to do my nail painting. I can thin them out well enough with base coat if I need to. Although one of the other nail artists that I watch, she uses top coat because it doesn't have a tacky layer. So you're not going to have issues with mixing something that doesn't have an inhibition layer with something that does. And also, you're not going to have issues with it creating that tacky layer that you're going to cause problems with bleeding of other colors on top of it, or just whatever complications you could have from mixing one kind of product with another. So if you do use gel paints, especially the ones from Madame Glam, the gel paints from Madame Glam are a non-tacky product. They don't cure with a sticky layer. You want to shear it out with a no-wipe top coat so that you've got the same technology, the same product working with each other. So now I'm just putting in Cubert, and I'm using some darker and lighter shades of orange to create highlights and shadows. Shadows underneath his body by his legs, and highlights on top of his head and on top of his snout. And then using a little bit of red and black to create the inside of his snout. I loved the image that I found on, I did a Google image search trying to find representations of Q*bert that I really liked. And of course, I found one where his eyes were going at opposite directions because he's getting smashed in the head with one of the balls. And his requisite thought bubble with the curse word all in symbols had to go in there as well, which will be coming up in a few seconds time. And yeah, I struggle with trying to get too many elements in a nail design all the time, but I think this one really played out well. I did have to put the thought bubble in sideways to get it to fit on the nail, but I think it turned out spectacularly, and I hope you like it too. I'm going to take this time to ask you to please give me a like and a subscribe if you like this video. I would really appreciate it. Trying to grow this channel, and every little bit helps. If you have any comments or questions, please put them down in the comments section below. And as always, all the products I use will be in the description box below. So now I'm just putting in some shadows and some highlights on the ball that's dropped onto his head, and I will be putting in some impact brush strokes to show the act of it hitting his head. And yeah, I'm just going to let the rest of this video play out, and I will be back at the end. Alright everyone, thanks again for joining me. I hope you liked this video. Leave a comment down below. Any suggestions for upcoming videos, characters, reference material. Give me a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you in the next video.